Hello and welcome to episode 98 of Page 1, the Writers Podcast. I'm Marco.
I'm Tarek.
And thanks for joining us at Page 1, where we like to speak to writers of all kinds about their writing careers, find out how they got into the industry, and try and get as many hints and tips from them as possible. We have got a huge back catalogue of great guests, so please do check that out if you haven't. And we've got a brilliant guest this week.
We do indeed. This week we're chatting with Will Carver, who is a fantastic author. He's written a number of really interesting crime novels with kind of stories that don't take you anywhere near the path you would expect them to, really off the beaten track stuff.
Very dark.
Very dark. A lot
but
of
also
sex.
Humorous as well.
Very humorous.
Yeah, you're always obsessed with this.
And it's a very interesting chat with him because he's had a very interesting career and a path into the writing industry. It was a sporting career. He turned on rugby, and he's kind of formed, I don't want to spoil it up, he's formed like an interesting route in.
Yeah, and he also had the as he'll talk about, he sort of got into the industry, and then there was a period where he stopped getting published for a little while.
Yeah.
And you know, it's interesting hearing how you deal with that, because obviously it's often the case that you think, you know, if you're an aspiring writer, once I've got my agent, once I've got my publishing deal, this is it. I'm on the train, as it were. But you can have those fallow periods as well.
Train can come off the track.
Indeed. So, yeah, really interesting chat with Will, and also very funny as well. So we'll get straight into it after a quick advert for our writer's notebook, and then we'll be back at the end of the podcast with a bit more chat and to let you know about next week's guest.
But for now, on with the podcast.
The blank page. To some, it's terrifying, an obstacle to overcome. But we prefer to think of it as an opportunity, a blank canvas to be filled with all of the adventures and characters in our head. So how to overcome that fear? Well, we all know the best advice for a writer is write. Seriously, get words on the page and more will follow.
But what about later, when you start trying to pull those threads of what you've written together? What about the character you wrote about way back at the start? Who was she again? What was she carrying? And where did she leave the MacGuffin that she now really needs in the third act? Think about all those top thrillers you like to read, or that amazing drama you just watched. What did they all have in common? Structure and planning.
As aspiring writers ourselves, we've tried many different methods to try and organise all the thoughts about the stories we want to tell. We've been there searching for a piece of scrap paper to note something down, or making a quick note on our phone in between meetings.
Or sometimes we'll make a note in whatever notebook we're carrying, or a document on our laptop so we don't forget that great idea. Let's be honest, it can all be a bit messy and it's easy to lose track of everything. And that's when we realise it's not just the story that needs structure and planning, but the way we gather all of our thoughts about it as well.
And so we made Page 1. Page 1 is more than just another notebook. It's a place to put down all your ideas for your latest project, divided into easy-to-use sections that will help you plan your story, so that when that blank page comes calling, you're ready to answer. And then afterwards, once it's written, we realised you need to plan how to let people read it, so we included a section relating to submissions.
Each one is designed for one project, whether you want to write a book, screenplay, a comic, or any other kind of story. We truly believe that when you use it, it will help you get to the main event, writing your story. So we hope this helps.
We can't wait to read what you come up with.
And remember, every story starts with page 1.
Did you always want to be an author? Because in your case, I think you were very close to becoming a sportsman, perhaps, instead.
Well, yes. I was a rugby player, basically. I just did it, I did it as fun, but I got scouted and ended up playing to quite a high level. And then I signed a contract with Bath Rugby for their youth team for 3 years. And then I thought about, maybe, I could have gone pro, taken it past that, but I wanted to write something. And stupidly, I thought, if I do that, then no one's ever going to take me seriously. They're going to think, he's only got this book deal because he was a rugby player or whatever. And but looking at the way the publishing industry works now, maybe I should have. Yeah,
exactly.
I'd have a much bigger house. Yeah.
So had you always liked writing as a kid, like even prior to all the rugby stuff? Had you always quite like writing short stories and stuff?
I was kind of like the sporty guy at school who was at home secretly writing poetry, you know. I longed to flounce around in like a loose fitting white shirt, and you know, that's what I was really into when I was younger. I loved poetry. I just loved it. I still do, but I don't write anything now. And then when I went to college and university, I studied theatre, and I wanted to write plays. That's where I really started. I've always loved films as well, so I kind of thought, I'll write plays, I'd write films, and then, I mean, I've said this many times before when people have asked me, but I read Fight Club, the book Fight Club, and it completely changed everything for me. I couldn't believe you were allowed to write a book like that. You know, I'd read a lot of books, but I hadn't read anything like that, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to write a book. Plus, my university course sucked my love of theatre out of me. So, you know, it was
well, you say that though, but am I right in saying you started up your own theatre company?
So I did that while I was at uni. They were really, the whole reason I went to the course that I did in Winchester was because they were kind of so open and free to things like that. And I set up a theatre company, and we put on a play that was super successful. It made me money. Like, I was a student earning money from putting on plays. It was crazy.
Awesome.
And then I'd cast the next play, and the university had an issue with my theatre company being slightly better than the university one, and they put the kibosh on it and made it really hard for me to do anything. And I think that kind of killed my love of the course, and so I just kind of stayed there for 3 years and got through it. Really, in the end, I was quite pissed off. Yeah.
And then, so after you read Fight Club, you decided you want to write a book, and was that Suicide Thursday that you worked on initially?
Yeah, wow. Someone's done their homework. Yeah. Yeah, I did. Yeah, that's what, I started that. I started it actually before university. I was kind of dabbling with this idea, and but once I'd read that, I thought, I'm gonna go full steam ahead. And I changed it to become what was Suicide Thursday. Yes, which is actually what I'm working on now.
Oh,
is that right?
Okay.
So yeah, go on.
No, so because I know you didn't get anywhere with that book, and then it kind of led into your crime area, but are you kind of looping back now and then trying to pull it back out again?
Yes. Well, because I think the story's really strong, and it's fun, and it's quirky, and because where I'm published now at Arenda, I've kind of got a bit more freedom to try different things and not worry so much about failing and messing up. So I've kind of resurrected it, but only the idea. I'm going to rewrite the entire thing. There's just that kernel of an idea that I really like, and I'd like to use it. I'll probably have some kind of crime in it that wasn't necessarily in it before. But yes, so that should be not my next book, because that's already done. It'll be the one after that, so it'll be in November.
All right, excellent. And when you did that book, did you do the usual round of submission stages and all of that sort of thing to try and get it published? Yeah. And did you find an agent with it, or?
Not through that. No, I mean, I sent it off. I got the writers and artists yearbook. Yeah. Found all the addresses I need, and sent it out, and made a copy for myself, and sealed it up and everything. And I heard back from nobody. Not one. Not even one to say it was rubbish. And
that's the worst. It's the silence is the worst than getting told no. It's just did you even receive it? Like, is it even there? Like, what's going on with it? That drives me mad.
It's that the industry is a bit like that. They're slow. It's slow, and it's a bit rude. It is. It just is. It is. It's just like, just say you've got it, and it's tell me it's crap. I don't care. But exactly. As long as I know you've seen it. But it is like that. It is like that still. Even if you are published, sometimes you can send something off, and you're like, I can't write while I'm waiting for you to tell me if it's good or bad. Can you just just at least tell me you've got it. So that hasn't really changed. But no, in the end, I got an agent just through just someone I knew someone else, and their wife was an agent, worked in publishing,
right? Okay,
and she took me on as she didn't have anyone else. She believed in the book, and she said, "Oh, I'll agent it." She was actually working as an editor at the time. So that's how I got in. Yeah,
brilliant.
It was
and well, but it's funny though. We've recorded loads of these episodes, and no one's route in. In fact, I don't think we've had one person that took the normal route of sending 3 chapters and finding an agent. And something always seems to happen.
Story or a person, and it's about making that luck, isn't it? Although there's an element of luck there, but it's also about seizing on the opportunities that you have and you create and stuff, and using every advantage you can, I think, to get it.
I think that's right.
I think so. I mean, you hear so many stories about people who have gone to Harrogate Crime Festival or whatever, and just because that's such an open festival, and 1 minute you're talking to your friend you came with, and the next Ian Rankin's next to you in the bar and he's talking to you, and it's like, what? You hear of so many people who just get talking to a publisher or an agent there and say something, and then you have that direct link, and they're like, send me what you've got.
Yeah.
And then they make you wait 6 months.
You never hear back from them again.
Exactly.
And so was it when Suicide Thursday you didn't hear anything back? I mean, you obviously still had that drive to write, because obviously, as speaking as someone that has gone through this submissions process, and it can be a bit disheartening to have spent all that time and not get anything back, but you went back to it and you started something else, and you got that out there, presumably.
Yes, I think you have to. I think that is the cycle. So you get rejected by a bunch of agents, and then once you've got an agent, you get rejected by all the publishers, and then you finally get published, and then readers tell you you're awful. Why am I doing this to myself? But the Suicide Thursday, basically, I got an agent, and she submitted it to a bunch of publishers, and they were like, "Oh, it's too dark. We like your writing. It's a bit dark," which I still get now. There was an editor at Hodder that said, "I think your style will suit crime," and I wasn't a big crime reader, but I thought if I've got someone who's going to definitely read a book, I'll write. I'll do it. So I was working selling computer software at the time, and I got made redundant, and I had my first kid on the way. And I thought, right, I've got 6 weeks of money. I'm just going to write this crime book, and sent it to the guy at Hodder, and he said it was a pile of shit. I was like, oh, great. And now I've got no job. And but I got a couple more rejections along the way, and then someone at Random House said, let's turn it into a series. So it was really quick. I was fortunate, because I know some people, years and years and years, their 8th book that they write, and really this was my first crime book, and it got picked up by Random. So yeah.
And when you were told, this would suit your style, would suit a crime book, and you were like, well, I've not really written a crime or thought about writing a crime book before. It's funny, because I think crime's one of these genres that it's actually way larger and more open than a lot of people think. There's that kind of classic crime of
the police procedural,
exactly, investigating a murder, etc. And you go through the whole rigmarole of the hierarchy and the boss, blah blah, and then you've got crime novels which don't even have police in them, or which are almost literal or literary, or jump around in points of view. Like your book, Good Samaritans, is a crime novel, obviously, but it's a very different crime novel than your kind of Val McDermid or Ian Rankin crime novel, which are much more traditional crime, I suppose. Yours is much more kind of plays with ideas and points of view and jumps around. It's much more interesting, I think. And is that, is it quite nice to know that, you can be a crime author, but you're not hemmed into a specific type of crime?
yeah, I think it's a huge. It is expanding, and it is really going in loads of directions. I mean, historical crime is like really on the up, and I think this kind of literary crime is. I mean, it's really interesting. Yeah, you can say things about the world. You know, you can. You know, I always think of Good Samaritans as a bit of a love story. You know, I know this. You know, I know bodies get bleached and cut up and things, but essentially it is about this dysfunctional relationship, and you know, you can explore a lot with it. And again, yeah, you're right. You don't have to have a detective. You don't. I mean, my 2 books last year, I didn't have a detective in either of those, and mainly because my agent was like, "Oh, are you going to do books without a detective? You can't really. Are you sure you want to do that?" I was like, "Well, I definitely do now you've said that." my book that's coming out in July, she was like, "You can't have a crime book where nobody dies." I was like, "Okay, we'll see." So yeah, it's great. I think it is great. I think there's room for everyone. You know, there's still room for the alcoholic cop, you know, with a dark past. Solving a crime and procedural stuff. So yeah, there's the thing is there's lots out there. You know, perhaps when you walk into Waterstones or you see the top 10 bestsellers, you don't necessarily know that there's loads out there, but there is.
Yeah, definitely. And I wanted to ask about your writing style, because I read that you start writing at midnight. Is that right? Is that your go-to time for writing?
I am a bit of a night owl. I have struggled with insomnia forever, really. But yeah, well, I do a lot in the day and as kids, and so by the time I'm all settled, it's usually about 10. I'll get going, and sometimes I'll finish at 12. Sometimes I'll finish at 3. It depends. But yeah, I like writing at night. But it's also quite nice if you're writing a scene where you're trying to scare a reader.
Yeah.
And if you're writing it at night, you can scare yourself, and you know it's working. So I quite like doing it at night, in silence. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was reading about your kind of writing style, and you know, as you say, you kind of restart writing it late at night, and you write the next day. And you also, I mean, you've got so many strings to your bow. You run a fitness and nutrition business. You teach exercise classes. You've got 5 kids. How do you? It sounds like so much to pack into a day. You know, when do you sleep, or does insomnia just take care of that?
Well, I don't. Yeah, that's all taken care of. Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, my day is filled with kind of the fitness stuff and kids and cooking and whatever. So yeah, I just think if you want to do something, you will make a way. You'll make a way to do it. If you want to work out, you want to be fit, you will go to the gym, you'll find a way to get there. And if you want to write a book, if the only time you get to write it is late at night, if you really want to do it, you'll write late at night. Yeah. So it just depends how much you want it. And working hard is never a bad thing.
Yeah. And are you someone, when it comes to a book, are you someone that likes to have, you know, a plan before you start writing, or are you a bit of a pantser?
I'm a bit of both. I think I know what I want it to be about, and I think I know an ending. But I spend a lot of time on kind of the first third, really, really honing that. And once I know I've got that, the rest I'm through. I'm done. I'm done in very quickly. I tend to write quite quickly, but it's that first third I do plan, and I only tend to plan a couple of chapters ahead. I see some people with like boards of post-it notes and things going off and everything. So I'm not like that. I think more about character than plot. So, you know, I'll plan out a character more than I will where they're going to go and what they're going to do. I tend to find that as I go. And that works for me for now. With the book side of things, I know if you kind of move into TV and film, you have to be way more structured.
Yeah.
So that could be something I have to learn.
And when it comes to things like edits and getting notes back from agents and editors, you know, is that something which are you quite a fan of the editing process? Do you like having stuff to work on, or is that the kind of trying to pull teeth part of it for you?
It is just the worst. I hate it so much, which is why I tend to that first third, like I was saying, I'll read the whole book and then write the next, 2,000 words. And then the next day I'll do the same until it gets, too long to read. I've wasted half my day reading. So when I get to the editing stage, it's not a long period for me. So because I hate it so much, so I tend to do it a lot as I go through. But you need it, because you can't, when you're in it, you can't see what is and isn't working. You're you're so pleased that you've got this character that you love or you hate or whatever, and you have to have it. And I always say, like, my only piece of advice I ever give anyone is get someone to read your book who doesn't love you or like you. Yep. Because it's not fair on them, because they don't want to tell you that you're shit. They don't want to tell you that, right? So you need to give it to someone who doesn't care how you feel and but knows what a good book should look like.
So Girl 4, I think, was the first published book, but and that was the first in a trilogy with the same character. But did you have a sort of overview of the whole thing in your mind when you started writing that, or was it a case of I'll get this done and then think of the next ones after that?
Yes, well, I'd written Girl 4 just as a standalone, and it was the publisher who said, "Can you turn this into a series?" And I wasn't going to say no. Can I have a 3-book deal or a 1-book deal? Yeah, exactly. I'll take 3. Cheers. So I hadn't mapped anything out really. I did it as I went along. I just did it as I went along. I wrote the second one before the first one was even published. I got that done. That one, it didn't do very well compared to the first one. The first one did really well. The second one didn't do as well. And then by the third one, it was supposed to go on as a series, but it stopped working, I think. So, but my book a couple of books ago, Nothing Important Happened Today, was originally a book in that series. It was it was going to be the 3rd book, and then everything went wrong. My agent went in to try and get a new deal with a 4th book, and the publisher said this is going to be the 3rd book, and then just got rid of that book and said, no, it's not good enough. Actually, this is the one we want. Obviously, that book, and I rewrote that as Nothing Important Happened Today, and it's probably my most successful book.
It's interesting, that and what you were saying earlier shows that you should never don't throw away these projects that don't seem to work at a specific time, because you can go back to them, you can rework them, and they can work even more successfully than you thought.
Well, I definitely think keep the idea.
Yeah.
I think if I look at Suicide Thursday now, what I wrote however long ago, 12, 15 years ago, hopefully I'm a bit better now. So I keep the idea and rewrite the entire thing, which is what I did with Nothing Important Happened Today as well. I just rewrote everything. So keep the ideas around for sure.
And when the last book of your Girl 4 series came out, you then kind of had a period of time away, and then you came back with Good Samaritans and start of that new series as well. And that was a book which did amazingly well. That book came out and it was Book of the Year for the Telegraph, the Guardian, the Express, longlisted for not the Booker Prize, Amazon Awards. How did that feel? That must have felt pretty good, having that kind of real validation at that point.
It was, I needed it because, it'd been a few years of kind of being in a pit of despair. I just would someone had given me my dream job and then whipped it away.
Yeah.
And it was devastating. And
is that why there was a gap between Good Samaritans and the book?
Prior? So the last one, Dead Set, I then wrote a book after that called, at the time it was called Take Me First, which never saw the light of day. That kind of, no one wanted me after that, and I kind of stopped. I didn't really know what to do. I wrote a couple of other books. I kept writing every year. I still wrote a book every year. I tried something outside of crime. No one wanted that. And I tried something else. And then I thought, I need to write something commercial. I thought, the whole time I was like, I don't write for an audience. I write for myself. And then I was like, I need to get published again. So I thought, I wrote the first half of Good Samaritans. I sent it to my friend Tom Wood, who's a writer, and he read it and said, "Oh, maybe you could change this, maybe change that." So I thought, yeah, he's got some points. He knows about commercial stuff. And then I got halfway, and I was like, actually, this could be really interesting, which is what I always do. And then I in the middle, there's obviously a massive twist, and I took it in a different direction that wasn't as really that commercial, but it was interesting. And I got a new agent, and Karen at Arenda was just like, she's into that stuff. She's into different.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a marriage made in heaven. Yeah, it was, and obviously it came out, and all the publishers that had rejected it, I was like, oh, look, it's doing all right, isn't it? It's doing all right. But this, you have to listen to these industry professionals because they know what they're talking about. But again, it's just a lot of it is luck, having the right person read it at the right time, in the right mood. So yes, and I was lucky that I'd had some books before that helped. But
yeah, yes, but I was just going to say, it's funny, isn't it? Because there's obviously the industry market and industry expertise is very important, but a lot of breakout books are often books that aren't the hot thing, aren't the traditional path. There's something that does something different that someone's taken a risk on, and actually it's found a massive audience. And I suppose that's the difficulty for someone writing in that sort of field, is that it's going to be hard to find that person that's going to take that chance.
It's really difficult. I think, almost every week I'll see publishers and agents saying, oh, we want something different, we want the next big thing, and then 2 days later in the bookseller, they've just bought something that's the same as everything else that's out. So,
absolutely.
So take it all with a pinch of salt. But yeah, I think you'll see it though, that something will break through that's different, and then there'll be a slew of books like that, because there's just so much luck. I know I keep saying it, but a lot of it is luck. And yes, a lot of it is marketing spend from publishers, can make a book big, but getting there is luck.
Yeah, absolutely.
And is it fair to say that your books still have a really kind of rich vein of black humor that kind of runs through them, even though they're very dark, they're very serious books, very horrible things happen in them, but there's still that kind of, they're not written in a super serious manner a lot of the time. There's black humor, there's jokes in them, and is that something that's quite important to you, to kind of thread that line walk that needle between
walk that line, thread that needle,
between like a really serious and dark crime and keeping it light.
Well, I think you can make the point you want if you're making a serious point with humor. You can punctuate it a bit better. So if I'm hitting you over the head with a point, and I'm writing this dark book, it can get a bit much, and the idea can get lost. Whereas if you stuff in a one-liner that's a bit comical, you can get a reader to remember that part that's come before. And I just think it's very important. I think my first book, Girl 4, I was talking to an editor at Orion, and he loved it, and he said it is relentless. Like the pace of it was just, and he suggested that I have to intersperse these chapters with kind of time to let the reader breathe and kind of digest it. And it was a really good piece of advice. He didn't take it on in the end, but that's a piece of advice I've always kept. And I think this idea of injecting the humour and adding some light to the dark is something that I've learned through being with Arenda. Karen it's almost always her first edit note.
Right. Okay.
I know what you're trying to say, but you're hitting me over the head with it. You know, you need some light in there with the shade. So yeah, it's really important to get that balance.
And where do these? I mean, this is the sort of question writers hate, I think. But you know, where do these sort of dark ideas come from? I think Good Samaritans is partly inspired from your own insomnia that you told us about. I mean, is it your own experiences that you're sort of drawing on here?
Yes, I do sometimes. I did there. I was, you know, and I was kind of going through, like, my marriage was kind of breaking down at that point as well. So I was kind of looking at this dysfunctional relationship, how it worked, even though they didn't really like each other, but they kind of really did. So yeah, I do draw on my things, but a lot of the time, just I'm pissed off with stuff, you know, and I'm just annoyed with social media. I'm annoyed with people lying and you know, posting things that aren't true just to, and I, you know, but I'm also really interested in kind of the psychology behind everything and why you would feel the need to have these kind of this persona that is you and this one on the screen that's completely not you, and how are you either or are you neither, you know, and it's, I just find it, the psychology of it all, I find it really interesting, and yeah, so I tend to explore it all through that, and often an idea I'll get while writing a book will then be the next book, you know. If I'm when I wrote Hinton Hollow Death Trip, which is the third book in the Pace series, I had this idea to narrate it as evil. The evil is the narrator, and it really got me thinking about kind of faith and religion and belief and good and evil. And so my next book, The Beresford, is kind of came from that, from writing that. There wasn't an idea I had. I just thought I wanted to explore kind of good and evil, God and the devil, and what people really want in life. So yeah, I often inspire myself. That's where the ideas come from.
And you also like to write a lot from the victim's point of view, rather than just from like a cop's point of view, which is the kind of maybe the norm in a lot of fiction, crime fiction. And you know, I wondered why that is. Is it something? Is that a conscious choice, or is that something you're just naturally drawn to?
Again, yeah, I just think it's slightly more interesting. And again, like, it's been done a million times. The cop, hearing from the cop's side, the detective, whatever. And I like to make the reader a part of the story. So I do write a lot of kind of second person stuff.
Yeah.
I kind of try to jolt the reader into reminding them that they're reading a book rather than just getting absorbed by the story. And I think it's quite nice for the reader to have a relationship with this person they know is going to die, and hear what they're thinking. And sometimes in Girl 4, I had the victims kind of foreshadowing their own death. They knew it was coming, because they were the narrator of that part of the story. And it's just a far more interesting way of writing and reading something, I think.
It is an interesting way to do it, but I can see, I've not actually looked at this, but in terms of reader reaction to that, I can see it's the sort of story that people, you know, it's quite a Marmite approach that perhaps that some people will really love it and really buy into that unusual approach and stuff. But I can see that people that are more at home with their standard police procedurals kind of being turned off by that. I mean, is that what you found? Absolutely, yes. I think the people that are, you know, Will Carver fans are diehard. They are, and people who, you know, they're testing their foot in the water of something that isn't, you know, their normal procedural read. You know, 50-50. They either love it or they hate it. There really isn't
an in between. I don't get too many 3-star reviews.
Yeah,
but I do get a fair amount of ones. But also the whole kind of procedural thing doesn't interest me either. So, you know, I want to be interested while I'm writing.
Yeah,
I want
absolutely.
You know, and you know, I think the reader can tell if you've had fun writing it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and I don't want to do that. You know, I prefer to research the psychology behind what a psychopath is or a cult leader than, you know, whether I've, you know, I don't know procedural stuff. I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, I read something, I think just today actually, on the garbage pit that is social media, and someone had said something like, you know, if you're trying to write something and you are getting stuck and you just can't seem to get it to work, it's maybe your brain's way of saying you've made a wrong turn somewhere, and you're not writing what's exciting you, and you're trying to fit something into the wrong shape or whatever. And we've said before on the podcast that you get bored yourself writing it, and as you say, if you're not excited as you write it, no one's going to be excited to read it. And I think that is I think when you struggle with stuff, or when I struggle with stuff anyway, I've often found that the way to fix it is to go back and just totally change a scene or a point of view, or just to write it move a timeline around or something to make it a bit more exciting to me.
Yeah.
And that normally gets me over the kind of the hump a little bit.
Yeah, I'd just select all and delete. I find that's often the best way of doing it. Yeah, I when I wrote Hinton Hollow Death Trip in its first incarnation, I wrote it. I tried to write it in reverse. So start at the end, and then when you get to the last page, you find out what the crime was at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really cool. It was a really fun way of doing it. It was difficult, but you know, I got there. I'd written about a third of it, and publisher said to me, "It's too clever.
Oh, really?
Switch it round, do it the other way."
Yeah. So
I was like, oh, okay, well, they're a publisher and they'll read it. They must know. So I did it, and it destroyed it. Took all the tension out of it,
yeah.
and it wasn't fun to write or read. And as such, he was like, "Yeah, this is rubbish." Thanks.
Who told you to do this? This is rubbish.
I'd rather be clever than rubbish. I decided. So but again, that was just a select all, delete, and start again. I think there is that thing, you want to keep everything that you've written just in case.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get to the point where you think this isn't good enough, this isn't working,
why keep it? Yeah.
It's not going to be good enough. It's not going to be good enough in 5 years. Things have moved on, so just get rid of it. Write something that is good enough.
Yeah, I definitely think that's true. I know I personally can get stuck sometimes, and I sort of start obsessing over the bit that I've written and try to fix it and try to make it neater and change it about. Whereas, like you say, if you just get rid of it entirely and take a completely fresh approach to it, then that can suddenly get you moving forward again.
Yeah,
so,
keep the idea, but get rid of the rubbish words.
Yeah.
The idea is still good. You know, it's just how you're putting it across.
Yeah.
That's a change. Yeah.
And your latest book is Psychopaths Anonymous, which came out at the tail end of last year. Is that right? Was it?
Yes, November.
Yeah, November. Yep. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what that book is?
So that is, I love this. So this is, it's revisiting the characters from Good Samaritans, but it all happens before then. So Maeve is the main character. She is kind of a successful 30-something marketeer. She's high up in her company. She's got a lovely house, great life, nice car. She drinks great wine, but she's a psychopath. She likes drinking wine, and she likes killing men. Essentially, she goes along to these Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, not because she wants to quit drinking, because she's kind of addicted to misery, and she wants to see like reality. She's obsessed with reality. She watches these horrendous reality TV shows, but she also goes to AA to kind of see, you know, people at their lowest. She tries to go through this 12-step program, but doesn't take, and she decides to set up her own group for people like her, and that is where Psychopaths Anonymous is born. So she has a group of psychopaths that she kind of works with, and you know, what could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
A group full of
It reminds me. I don't know if you've ever read it, but there's that bit in the Sandman comics by Neil Gaiman that has there's the convention for
serial killer
murderers
convention.
or something like that. I think.
Right.
In that as well, yeah, that's the same sort of principle. And you said that the next book is done. When's that one out?
That's out in July. So I'm having 2 a year at the moment, just because I've got a ton of ideas and Arenda are open to me having 2. So that is, Karen's reading that now. So I'll get my edit notes back in a couple of days. I'm sure she'll say, we need some lighting with the shade. And I'll be like, yeah, I know.
Is 2 books a year, is that quite, is it important to keep having that kind of steady release to keep the audience with you, to keep the pressure up? Is that quite important, or is it just a case that you just, as you say, you've got so many ideas you can't stop?
I've got the ideas, and because I had a few years out, I feel like I'm a few books behind. So I thought I like to catch up to where I should be. And yeah, I've had all these ideas, and yeah, I kind of like the pressure of having to get 2 a year out. So yeah, and I like to keep busy. What else am I going to do at night? Watch films, read books, So yeah, I like it. It keeps me busy.
And speaking of films, you sort of hinted earlier that you would still like to go back into the world of screenwriting. Is that something that you'd like to explore?
Yes, definitely. I think more and more now as I get on in years, we've had a little bit of kind of film and TV interest in the last few books, and kind of talking to producers and things kind of whets the appetite. And I think I'd like to get involved somehow, and eventually just write something. I know it's a completely different discipline, and I have to learn how to do it, but I didn't know how to write a book at some point. And
also you've written plays. You've written screenplays or not screenplays, but scripts for plays. So I mean, I'd imagine it's not a million miles away from that, I'd imagine, isn't it?
No, because it's all dialogue, isn't it? So yes, I'm hoping I've got a bit of a head start. So yeah, it's just, again, because I've committed myself to these 2 books a year now, it's like shit, when am I going to find the time? But again, you make the time. You make the time. If you want to do it, you'll do it. So I've got a couple of things in mind, but the book ideas are just coming thick and fast at the moment. I've got so many ideas, and I want to get them down. I've definitely got another. I know my next 4 books. I know what they're going to be.
Oh wow! Okay.
So I as long as I'm allowed to, I'll get those done first, I think.
Would you want, if you were doing screenplays or something, would you want those to be like original things, or would you want to ever adapt one of your own things?
Yeah, I think I'd like to do both, really. I think I think I might practice by trying to adapt something of mine. I've got a couple of books, and I've gone through and highlighted all the speech and everything, so I'll pull that out and see what I can get out of that. But yeah, something original. I mean, there's so many words and so many combinations. Why can't we come up with something new?
Exactly.
We don't have to remake, The Mummy or whatever. I don't know what films they keep remaking, but we don't need West Side Story. We've got it. We don't need another one. So I think I'll do something original. Yeah.
I suppose the thing with the film industry is, we've chatted to people before who've tried to, or either have worked in it or are trying to break into it, and it seems to be so many people needing to line up with stuff, and I guess that is the kind of that probably is that why we see so many the Mummy remake, West Side Story. It's like a safe bet. It's a lot of money involved, and it's just
you need to get so many more people to say yes.
Yeah. Whereas the nice thing about a book is that it's you and your computer, and then you're the sole person in control of everything, I suppose.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think the publishing industry is slow,
I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it's just you have to have certain people on board, and all the stars have to align. Yeah, it's even slower. So yeah, that's the beauty of writing books, isn't it? I can keep doing that because it's just me. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it certainly sounds like you've got the next couple of years lined up anyway, between your 2 books, your fitness business, and everything else.
Yeah, I've got enough to keep me going.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah. This is my 8th cup of coffee today.
And one thing we wanted to ask you was, it was a random fact which we read online when we're doing our research, which was that you saved your brother's life from drowning when you were 13, or when he was 13, and you saved someone else's life the same summer. I mean, is this? I find out more about this if you were able to talk about it.
It was a crazy year. Yes, was it that? It could have been that same year. The first one was a friend. We were there was 4 of us. I was living in Germany at the time. We went walking through the woods, and we found this, what we thought was just like a dried up lake that we could walk through. Mm-hmm. And I had a friend at the front. I was behind. There was 2 behind me, and we all started sinking basically. And the 2 at the back got out. I was up to my knees, managed to get out, but the guy at the front was kind of sinking. He was like up to his chest, and panicking, screaming. And the 2 at the back had kind of gone, and I was left there, and he was just screaming. And I don't know how. I can't even remember what I did, but I managed to pull him out, and I pulled him so hard that his shoes stayed in the quicksand or whatever it was, and we kind of walked home. He was like black down up to his chest, but and crying. So yeah, that was my first one.
I mean, that's absolutely terrifying. That is, sinking into that thing. I mean, that's just stuff of nightmares.
It was. I mean, I was scared. I only got up to my knees, and I escaped with both my shoes. But yeah, that was scary. That was scary. It was stupid as well, because we'd been there a million times before in those woods, but it's just that bit that day. And yeah, the next one was just I was in Florida, and my brother's like 9 years younger than me. He's very small, and he'd come down on this slide on a flotation thing, and someone had landed on top of him, and he was under the water under there, and like we were all waiting, and I just remember my mum screaming like that would help, and I just kind of dived in and eventually like threw this person off, and I got him out, and he was coughing and spluttering, and then eventually the lifeguard like came up next to me. I was like, dude, where have you been?
Yeah, exactly.
So yes, it was a crazy time. I mean, I say saved his life, but you know, it wasn't nice. It wasn't nice for sure. No. But you know, yeah.
It sounds like something of an action hero summer then you had. To be honest.
No, you know, it's just what I do. Yeah, putting out fires. Yes, yeah, it was. Yeah, for a young kid, it was quite an exciting year. Yeah.
What was the last book that you read?
The last book I read was The River Clyde by Simona Buchholz. She's another Arenda author, German, translated. Yeah, it was great. It wasn't really, I mean, she's written lots of crime books, but this was in that series, but it was more about kind of, one of the main characters died in the book before this, and it's all about kind of how all the characters are grieving. And she disappears off to Scotland, and it's a bit of a love letter to Glasgow as well. It's beautifully written, but wasn't really a crime book. I read a crime book before that, though, like the 2 days before that was Truly, Darkly, Deeply, which is by Victoria Selman, which is it was amazing. That's a great crime book. It's about like a family, and the stepdad goes to prison for a crime, and you don't know whether he did it or not, but the young girl really believes that he didn't. Mm-hmm. And you kind of go along with her story, and you're like, do you know what, I really think he did, but I mean, you know, maybe he didn't, you know, and then you don't want him to. And it's kind of, you know, if you listen to like a serial podcast, like 1 week he did it, and then you're like, the next chapter you're like, no, he's innocent, he's been, it was really good, and all the way through.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, that's out in the summer. That's I think that'll be a bit of a hit.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Nice. And what about the last film that you watched?
Oh gosh, I watched so many. What did I watch? Oh my god, it was probably something like Encanto. With the kids. I can't. I can't even think. I just like binge watched that. What was it called? Something 81 on Netflix.
Archive 81. Yeah, Archive 81. Is it good? Is it that kind of found footage-y type thing?
It was really. It was kind of like Blair Witchy, but there's like a cult, but it also had a bit of a Twin Peaks vibe at the end, where they kind of travel to like another realm that's like like the Black Lodge in Twin Peaks.
Cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Lots of people said it kind of tailed off towards the end, but I didn't find that at all.
Nice. Yeah, that's on my list to watch. I've heard good things about it, but I've not watched it yet. And the very, very final thing we do is super quick fire either or. So there's no right answer apart from one of them. And I know you're a big exercise nut, so we'll start off with Tony Horton or Sean T.
Sean T. All the way.
Sean T all the way.
He's my idol. I love him. Yeah.
Nice. Music or no music when you're writing?
Oh God! Oh, quick fire. Sorry. Music, but without lyrics when I'm writing. Music. Right. I can have lyrics when I'm editing. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. TV or cinema?
Cinema. It's the most magical place. Love
it. Eat in or go out?
Eat in. I think I'm a pretty good cook. So yeah. Plus, I'm vegan. It's not easy to find.
No.
Fair enough. Yeah. And the last one: real book or ebook?
Oh, real book.
Wow.
I do.
That was an incorrect answer, I'm afraid.
Real book in the day and ebook at night, because I have the Paperwhite.
Yeah.
And I can read that in bed. So I tend to read a paperback book during the day, and then when I go to bed, I'll read something.
Okay, so what you're saying is both of them. They're both.
Both, yeah.
Okay, I accept that. That's basically as good as a win. And draws as good as a win for
Tarek's the big ebook advocate, as you can see.
Yeah. So. I think they both have their place. Yeah.
Oh, that was a great chat. Really enjoyed that. And I think Will's probably right when he says his books are kind of Marmite, because they are that kind of love or hate it type novels. They're not that kind of down the middle of the road crime. They're so kind of, they've got so much character to them that you will either like it or hate it.
Yeah, and they're written in a very specific way that, I think if you come to his books expecting a sort of police procedural, you're going to be shocked, and that's either going to make you really dislike it or really be intrigued by it.
And also, if you're not really a fan of sex, then you're probably going to be in trouble as well.
Well, there is that as well, Tarek.
I love the books. I thought that was fantastic.
But no, like we've had other authors that have said the same thing. Stuart Turton said it to us last season as well, that they almost want to be, they'd rather be in that category of loved or hated than sort of middle of the road 3-star review kind of territory.
Yeah, totally.
And I can understand that. You want a small but devoted fan base rather than people that you could blend in with. Yeah.
I think even a small fan base that's really, really dedicated will grow over time, and that's still, it's like everything in the age of the internet. Something small is still probably something fairly large in terms of numbers, in terms of sales, etc. If you can have that core following, that's something good, because they'll follow you all the way. So yeah, absolutely.
And we should say as well, it's not a small fan base that Will has.
No.
Using that as an example.
Will should be really proud of his 6 followers that love his book.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, well, thanks very much to Will for taking the time to come onto the podcast. Really appreciate that. And you can go and grab Psychopaths Anonymous and all his other books from your local bookshop or online, and we'll put a link in the podcast description so that you can grab those now. And we've got another great guest next week for episode 99.
Almost. When are we going to announce our super special guest for episode 100, Marco? When's it?
It will be after next week's episode, as ever.
We're going to keep them hanging on that long.
Got to keep people tuning in.
But next week we're chatting with the wonderful Anna Mazzola. Is it Mazzola?
Mazzola, I would say.
Mazzola, like matzo ball.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want, yeah.
Next week
She's half Italian. Mazzola,
Mazzola
is how you would say it. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a fantastic author who's written 3 books. Her new one is The Clockwork Girl, which is just about to come out at time of recording. Might be out. No, will not be out when the episode comes out next week, but will just be about to come out.
No, it will. I think is it out on the 3rd, and the episode will go out on the 4th. I think so. I think by the time the episode comes out next week, it will have been out for one day. And yeah, really interesting speaking to Anna. As many guests have been on this podcast, she is a lawyer. There's something about, and we actually speak to her about that. There's something about lawyers and writing, but she doesn't actually go down that usual route of writing contemporary legal thrillers, or hasn't until now, as she'll tell us, but is very much in the historical crime sort of category.
Yeah, The Clockwork Girl is a really, it's a really fun book, and it's a really kind of nice fusion of that, as you say, historical fiction with a little bit of kind of fantasy-ish, just a touch of that kind of.
Yeah, there's a sort of insinuation of magic,
and but not like super that. Strong. It's a nice melody.
No, exactly. Yeah,
it's a really fun chat. It's a really good laugh.
Yeah, no, it is. So please do tune in for that episode, and if you enjoyed today's episode, please do take time to give us a rating and review on your favourite podcast app, and be sure to subscribe or follow the podcast. And
of course, as always, if anybody wants to get in touch, they can reach us by sending us a tweet in the Twitter machine, which is @right_gear, and send us an email, which is podcast@rightgear.co.uk.
But otherwise, have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
See you later.
Well, we hope you enjoyed that episode. If you did, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode like these ones down here.
And if you want to get in touch, you can do so by finding us on our social media platforms up here, or drop us a comment way down below there.
But otherwise, thanks for listening, and join us for the next episode.
See you later.